the last few, well, scenes in today for this animation that, well, it's been taking almost a month. So it's been definitely a long hurdle, and of course, well, we're gonna get a Holly interruption here. So, hey, hi, puppy. So, yeah, this will be kind of like the official announcement that this stream should be available there, or not stream. The stream's already available. No, you're too close to the lights, honey. I need you to go away. I can't bump. You don't want to bump the lights. Go lay down, please. Holly, go lay down. No, go lay down, please. So, yeah, not normally a little more inviting with my animals, but if they bump the lights, then I have to basically start over, and I'm already about halfway through this animation, and obviously I don't want to do that, so we'll probably introduce them later on if I actually get through this part. I've actually made some pretty good timing so far. I think I got about a whole second and a half. So basically all we're going to be kind of doing at this particular juncture is shaking off the smoke of, well, Shimo's face from the atomic blast that recently took place. So I'm sure a lot of you are already aware of that from the latest short. And before I get too far into the stream, I should mention, well, not comments. Music in the background is all royalty free, and you'll find the links in the post description below. Now, I noticed a couple of you are joining in here, so who do we got? We got Claymationzilla. Hello. Thanks for tuning in. Or not Claymation, Kingzilla. Jeez. Yeah, my bad. Kingzilla. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. What's the dog doing? Trying to bump the lights, which is bad. No bueno, no bueno at all. We don't want that to happen, because unfortunately, that has happened in the past with my pug, with a Wendigo where I was making it speak, and yeah, that was 328 frames down the drain. I was pretty upset, obviously, but, you know, I can't be upset at the dog. The dog has no understanding of what I'm doing, so it's just best to try and keep your environment controlled as possible, but usually I let my pets just kind of roam free a lot of the time, but this is usually the one time I'm kind of regretting that decision a bit, but they're not used to kennels, so they're pretty good at listening, luckily, so. But yeah, before I rant along too long, we will continue with this animation. So basically, I'm sure you've already seen what's kind of going on the cell phone. It's a little glary. I'll see if I can get a slightly better angle for you guys here. Will it focus on it? No. No, yeah, the lighting might be a little... There you go. Might be a little choppy in the stream, unfortunately. There's not a lot I can do about that, mainly because we're in a stop-motion environment where all the lighting basically has to be concentrated forward. So I do apologize for that aspect of things, but there's just not a whole lot I can do about that, unfortunately, at this given time. It's just something we're going to have to deal with while doing, well, streaming stop motion. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that stream stop motion probably for that exact purpose. It's not exactly the easiest thing to generally kind of stream with, unfortunately. Your lighting conditions are never going to be ideal, but it's a cool learning opportunity for all of you who might be into making your own stop motion cartoons. So if you have any questions or requests during the stream, let me know in the chat. So we'll get things started here. So right now, I've already completed one head shake, and I want about 3. So we're just on the second one on the way back, and I'm going to try and speed things up just a little bit while moving little bits of smoke away. I think I'm about halfway through this frame. What also is going on too is obviously there was a big explosion, so there's a bunch of smoke that's just slowly kind of settling down off Shimo's body as well as around her, so we have to also make sure that that's all in motion and flowing nicely, as well as making sure her head is shaking around, and then the smoke on her face from, well, things, I don't want to give too much away, has to be also moved with the motion of her head whilst picking tiny little bits of it away, basically kind of clearing up her face like she's shaking it clear. So I will pick a couple fluffs, and I'll check on the chat after I check my frame. Oh no, Mr. Mittens. No, buddy. Not today. Maybe at the end. Unfortunately, he's not really allowed downstairs anymore. He was caught doing some things he wasn't supposed to some of my clean clothes. This is where my laundry room is, so while I'm doing stop motion, I can't watch him, so we're just gonna avoid those unnecessary accidents at this particular time, so he might be kind of begging for attention in the background, but don't worry, people. He's just a brat. He's used to always kind of getting what he wants, but not this time. Not when you pee on my clothes. Dink. Cats. Don't know what it is with them, and they like doing that stuff. It's annoying. I mean, he's a boy cat, so I get it a little bit more, but either way, gross. I don't want to have to wash my clothes twice. Luckily, there's no laundry really down here for him, but either way, we're just not going to deal with that little brat right now. I think you got the message. Okay, I think we're good. Hey Claymationzilla, I already kind of gave you a shout out earlier because I'm so used to saying your name, so yeah, thanks for tuning in, man. We're just kind of working on the second last scene. We're about 43 frames in, so we're getting close to that 2-second mark because I use 2 and 24 frames per second. And I should probably try to talk towards the mic. It's been a while since I've done a stream on this, so I apologize, it's a little rusty. So, main reason I kind of wanted to do this too is to kind of announce that this animation should be out on Wednesday, Thursday by the latest if I have to do a little bit more editing. But we're basically at the home stretch now, everyone, so that's the good news. Thanks, Black Rex. Hello. Who else we got? Shimo is equal to King Ghidorah, but yeah, like I kind of agree with you there, Cheetah Island. I must admit, it does feel a little, because I'm guessing the poll is very much Godzilla. Yeah, very much Godzilla. I do kind of think, in retrospect, that perhaps Shimo probably should have won, but you guys will have to wait till you see the full animation. I did not make it necessarily easy for our legendary buddy here, but if you take a lot of things into account, especially on the fact that Godzilla himself, we haven't seen necessarily our evolved form of Godzilla over here face off against, yeah, you can see his face. We haven't seen him face off against King Ghidorah, so we don't know how well he would do, say, in comparison, but our normal legendary friend isn't able to beat that guy alone, so given Shimo is allegedly just as strong, if not more powerful than King Ghidorah, it would make sense that he would technically lose, but I'm given what the audience wants. There's been a lot of animation suggestions during a lot of the live streams and stuff like that, and I've actually accomplished every single one of them as far as I know. I may have forgotten one or two, and I do apologize if I have, but for the most part, we were able to actually pull a lot of those difficult scenes off. And a lot of that goes to Claymationzilla, actually, so thanks, buddy, for the creative inspiration. So we're going to go back to a couple frames here. So just lightly move the smoke. Before, we were moving things around far more hectically with the explosion. Well, I was moving things more around with the explosions going on with a bunch of different stuff to kind of make it look hectic and busy. But in this case, we're slowing things way down because we just kind of want it to be trickling like it's kind of just settled. Alright, I think we're good there. Very minimal movement. Move our neck about 1/4 inch. Maybe 3/8. Probably doing 1/4 inch before. And then just pick off a couple smoke things. Luckily, our smoke trail's kind of already going in that direction, so hopefully we can kind of get away with just picking that off. We'll see. Not quite. We're gonna have to make a couple adjustments there. Not too many though. I'll admit, one thing for a lot of you other stop motion animators out there, smoke is really kind of difficult to get well done. In certain scenarios, it's a lot easier, like the explosion, for example, wasn't that difficult apart from the balancing act that was required. But making it look accurate and like it's flowing well is not easy. I think a lot of that actually goes back to my car animations, so. And now we're just bumping things up to kaiju scales. Which is honestly, I personally think this is a lot cooler than the car stuff. I do kind of miss it sometimes, but we've integrated it a little bit, and there'll be more of that later on. Probably have a little sneak preview if I have some time to cram in a little bit of extra editing on what I plan on making the next animation. It probably won't be for like about a month, unfortunately, but we'll get there. Make Doug soon. Well, that's actually another important announcement, I guess I'm happy to say. Doug will soon be on the way. Once this animation is done, I say, we will have a Titanus Doug, I do say. It's the first time I actually made that rhyme unscripted. Who else we got here? Cheetah Island. I have a request. Future build. Oh, Shin Godzilla. Yes, he is... With the extra point, hard to say. I don't think he's really tied up with King Kong's right now. Scar King and Kong are basically right behind Titanus Doug. Then Shin Godzilla is basically the next G-Man project. Followed by some dinosaurs. We might do one of those lately. I've been kind of itching to do some deep dives on some paleo stuff lately. I think a Giganotosaurus would personally be really cool because that's one of my favorites. But yeah. Peekaboo. I see you. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Alright, now we're gonna go back to what we were playing with here. Give Peekaboo maybe a quick demonstration because he's just kind of tuning in and I kind of forgot where I am, so... Consider this your sneak preview of the animation, even though the lighting might not be the greatest. I do apologize, but I can't really do a whole lot of adjustment for that without screwing up my scene that I've spent hours on. So, just kind of studying the head jerks. Ow. Okay, don't do that. Headache. Yes, it was adjusting that smoke just a little bit. Just a portion across the head, I think, that's kind of missing a little bit too much. So we already pinched some away. Now we're going to add just a little bit more to make it look like that smoke flow line hasn't completely disappeared, for lack of a better description. Because that way it avoids the jank. Sometimes jank is good, but in this case, that is not what we are going for. So I think I already took a picture of that, actually, so... yeah, it'll be fine. Onward! Guess we're working on this frame now. So we'll just kind of have a small jank moment, but that's okay. It's a smoke line anyway. It's not going to be perfect. Some jank's good, like I already said. But it's so minuscule, yeah, you're not really going to notice that. Just me being really fussy. I'm going to pinch a little bit away now that we've already added some. Might get my clay knife in here soon to kind of start sliding some of this stuff out from the mouth. And we need this smoke trail to kind of trickle down a little bit more. Although I have to be very gentle with that far side because I don't have a lot of material to work with. I should have added more, but we're too far into the animation at this point, so we're going to have to make it work. If worse comes to worse, I can always just kind of add more to it and chunk it back up, but that's kind of like trying to hit the reset button, and it's going to cause a lot of jank that might not necessarily look good, and it's going to take a long time to try and hit that reset button, as it were, so we're going to try and avoid that. No. And by hitting the reset button, basically what I mean is there's, it's probably hard for you guys to see, but there's a shadow effect essentially on my stop motion app, which I use Stop Motion Studio if anyone's curious, not sponsored. And basically it allows you to see the last frame that you took, and you can kind of build things back up or replace it. And usually if things get really bad at that point, it can take up to like 45 minutes to try and get things to a, you know, a semi-satisfying level, or you're just kind of like, okay, I've spent enough time on it, I'm done, and this is close enough, is as good as it's gonna get. So it can get pretty bad sometimes, unfortunately. I think I'm actually gonna see the chat on this the whole time. I think I figured out my live settings finally, guys. Yay! Only took me a few months. Yeah. Apologize, the character is really blinded out. I might try a slight bird eye angle. Is that gonna make... No, that's not gonna make things worse for you guys. Yes, Mr. Mittens, you're back. I guess you'll just have to see the animation to get the true aspect. So. No, buddy. Thanks, Peekaboo. I appreciate that. If you can make a... Okay, turn off the music a little bit so I don't hear the cat so much. I think I make a big one. Of course, now my chat disappears on the tablet as soon as I'm reading it. Cat, yes, Mr. Mittens is being rather pesty. He wants attention. He's already gotten lots, but he's... yeah. He did some things last time. I was in my little animation zone. He peed on some clothes, so... he's just gonna stay down there. I might shoo him away in a bit, because if he's probably gonna be very persistent, he doesn't usually know when to stop. Because he's a brat. Psst, go away. Beat it. Later, in a bit. If you're good, I'll grab the laser pointer. I have a lot of figures. Watermelon! That's a cool name. I like that name, Watermelon. Hopefully I'm in a good position for the mic. Okay, I think I got Mr. Mitz away so I can turn down my royalty-free music. He's still upstairs begging. Oh god. Yeah, I apologize for that, guys, but cats will be cats. I'm going to... Oh, no problem, Cheetah Island. I'm glad you were entertained. We'll probably be going for quite a bit longer, actually. We're only about 18 minutes into the stream, and we're almost 2 seconds into my animation. Woo! Blaze speed. Warp speed for stop motion. It's kind of funny, because, yeah, I think... if my math is correct, I'll be about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, 2 minutes and 40 seconds for this entire animation, and it's taken about a month. World's slowest kaiju fight, realistically. Although that being said, I think a lot of people are well aware, especially in this fan set base, that animation generally does take a long time, even if it's like, say, CG. Because, yeah, I know there was quite a big wait for Godzilla X Kong. A lot of teasers were coming out for that, so... I have to try and pull just a little bit more material off this back here and try and fill in a gap. That smoke line has got jet forward. We want to make sure it stays in its downward trajectory, so we'll push it back. Here we go. That's really hard for you guys to see. Might try it at some point. The only issue is with setting up streaming lights for doing a stop motion. I mean, that streaming light has to stay on the whole time, and I have to make sure it's on an angle that's not going to affect the stop motion too. I'll admit, lighting is something I'm still a little rusty at, and I should be a lot better at, but at least I'm willing to admit it. But it is a very delicate process, and I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that I'm usually almost always wearing kind of a similar outfit. I basically have a stop motion outfit drawer, which basically includes nothing but black clothes. You don't want to wear any bright colors when you're doing this kind of stuff, because if you're wearing something that's bright, it's going to basically show in your lighting. I used to be a big fan of wearing bright orange, and I'm sure a lot of my old friends are well aware of that, but those days have been long gone and pretty much always just in black. I think the most color I'll wear at this point is like gray, and this one even has a little bit too much color because it's got a T-Rex, but I'm in the basement, so I need a sweater. Okay. Now I have to go to my mess of a desk over here. I have a lot of little clay strips and plasticine knives and other various goodies over there. Going a month into my animation, things can be a little disastrous. Not as tidy as I would like it, but more or less like, we'll clean once it's done. We're almost done. We're almost done. Almost done. Okay, this frame's taking a while. I think we got it. There, we got 2 seconds now. And we got 2, so we're gonna work on the third head tilt, and then I'm gonna work on. Let's see if I get that far. Let's see, because I don't want to give too much away during the stream either. But I suppose it's a sneak peek kind of explanation for those who want to see what's going on. So we'll work on the third head shake and we'll see how far we get there. And I might give a few other little things away, but not too much, I do say. Okay, we're going to do one more jerk off to the side, just kind of more or less almost the head motioning, entailing that the neck has now stopped. Kind of giving it a weird flick. Because usually when you're shaking things or flicking things around, if you do it in slow motion, you'll notice things kind of do a weird snap up or back, and it's usually kind of good to implement that into your stop motion or your animation. Even if it's just for one frame, it really kind of gives them a better sense of gravity at that point. Or motion. In my opinion, it kind of helps add weight too, because it looks like the thing's actually throwing itself around. Otherwise, you're just going to get a weird kind of squared off motion that doesn't necessarily look nearly as natural. Uh-oh. Okay, I think that's okay. Be very delicate with that back smoke stream now. You pretty much need to try and figure a way to tie that off now. So I'll probably just have it go in the next 4 frames. There's a lot of math involved in stop motion. It's not necessarily the most complicated, but you're going to be thinking about that a lot. At least I notice I do. It was something I never really thought I would have to do, but yeah. It happens, but that's okay. I kind of like math, as weird as that sounds. Oh yeah, you should try that with Shimo toy. I've seen a lot of it's very, very common amongst the fan base here of Godzilla stop motion. I really want to try and get some of my hands on one of those figures at some point. Because that would be really cool. At that point, I definitely have to have another monster fight where it's basically a toy Godzilla versus my claymation Godzilla. I think that would be pretty cool. Although, part of me is a little nervous about getting those kind of things because I already know it's going to probably be a lot easier to work with for a stop motion character. And I might not want to go back, but I know a lot of people really do kind of appreciate the style and the handmade characters, and a lot of those get pretty good views, and most people like to see me make them, so obviously that's something that kind of does have to stick around, but I'd be lying if that wasn't something that kind of weighed at the back of my mind if I wasn't getting one of those, because yeah, it would be a lot easier. Because there has been some problems during this animation, unfortunately. Nothing too severe. Luckily, my character designs have gotten a lot better over the years, so they're nowhere near as fragile. And honestly, being this large kind of helps to a degree, but that also comes with its own set of unique problems at that point too, unfortunately. But yeah, I digress. I think the worst thing that happened in this case was Godzilla actually broke a leg. So he took that expression to performing a little too literally. We bumped a neck spike. We don't want to do that. Back where it was. But yeah. Godzilla broke a leg, unfortunately. Luckily it was on a weekend, so it didn't really have any big time setbacks, but I remember waking up early that day wanting to do a bunch of animating with both of the characters. Luckily, most of it was going to be with Shimo at the beginning, so it didn't really have any problems, but it was still kind of like I just did a bunch of surgeries on you, man. Now you're going to go up on stage and break a leg? I have to do more. Basically, it's one of the wire joints, unfortunately, just kind of snapped. It's probably when I was making him run, and it's been just slowly kind of getting worse, and it was getting to that point where I just couldn't get him to stand on his own without assisting him every bit, and that was just too much work. So, some surgery was required for the G-Man again. Shimo's held up well. Haven't had to fix anything on her, although I think there's one leg that we might have a little bit of issues with, but so far she's holding true, so I'm not going to worry about that at this given moment in time. Getting close to this third head nod being done, because we're moving at a pretty quick pace. The only thing that really takes some time is all this fluff adjustment. Nice! I still have to go Godzilla toy shopping. Always just have things to do, unfortunately. Although, once I get some cool figures, that's definitely going to be an announcement on the channel. I want one of those remote control ones more than anything. That just looks like it'd be kind of fun to play with on my Lego set, to be quite honest. Even though it's not stop motion, the child in me would still be happy. And that's kind of all I am at heart. A big grown-up kid that still plays with giant kaiju dolls and Legos. But that's okay. My YouTube channel is now monetized, I do say, so I'm kind of getting paid to play. So I appreciate all of your support, and honestly, means quite a lot to me that my channel's gotten this far. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is, yeah, I appreciate all of it that you've given, so you can always smash that like button and show it just a little bit more appreciation if you're enjoying the content thus far. Might not be the most fast-paced thing on the internet, I'll admit, especially in comparison to a lot of gaming streams, but welcome to the world of stop motion. The world's slowest monster fight. Oops, I forgot to move the head on that one. To help kind of put things into perspective, though, like, on average, I think I spend about an hour, maybe hour and a half or 1 second of footage on this stuff. In this case, we're dealing with a very simple scene. Not necessarily simple, but there's just not nearly as much things going on. I don't have to worry about the entire character in frame. So that's why we're kind of moving things a little bit quicker here. Sorry. I've only been doing this for about an hour and a half now, and we're 2 seconds in, so almost twice the speed as normal. Hey, no battle cats. Might have to go and check on... Mr. Mitz likes to pick on Miss Kitty sometimes. Enough, you guys. Thanks for sticking around, Kingzilla. I appreciate that. Getting close to this scene calling it cut. So we'll probably actually maybe start that last bit of animation that I was talking about, where things will be kind of given away. And I'll explain it when I get there. At least the best of my abilities without spoiling too much. Although I'm pretty sure most of you have already figured that out. Although the polls actually are as much in Godzilla's favor as I had expected. Okay. You really need to start pinching that smoke away. I might have to retake that frame in that sense. No, I don't think so. Yeah, from time to time, I'm probably going to be doing the motion that I'm animating. If I'm shaking my head weirdly, that's when I'm basically kind of imitating what I want done. Seeing how I would do it and then reflecting it, how I've done that motion in the animation. Some people will go as far as actually filming themselves. I've done that a few times on a very rare occasions, but usually I just kind of sit in my chair and shake my head around. So this last one, I probably want to give it just a little bit more of an aggressive shake, and that's where we're going to start pinching that smoke away at a little bit of faster rate. Probably want maybe 2 or 3 more motions here, and that's about it, and then we're going to start straightening them out. Or her out, I should say. Not him. I should know better than that. Done a few deep dives on Shimo. That foreground smoke is a reach. Oh god, okay. There we go, we got it. Luckily, it doesn't need to move around a lot. It just needs to look like it's kind of going fog almost at this particular juncture. Okay, we actually are doing pretty good on that back difficult smoke piece. It's not turning out as difficult as I was anticipating. Spoke too soon. One must lightly massage the fluff. One cannot simply grab the fluff. In context, that would sound really weird, I suppose. Alright. Oh, nice, Kingzilla. What are you working on at Curiosity? Dual stop motion day. I do say. I think you've done that a couple times during a lot of my streams, if I recall. It's usually kind of obviously a bit of a inspiration spark. I think it's happening there, which is really cool. Makes me happy. Kind of makes me also a little bit more inspired to do. I definitely need to start streaming again more often. Just unfortunately, life's been a little hectic, so I won't digress on that stuff too much. Obviously, it's not really that important in the grand scheme of things, but my work schedule is kind of changing, so we'll see how things work in that sense. It's gonna kind of suck, but I'll tough it out the best I can. So that's just been something that's unfortunately kind of preventing me with streaming a little bit more often than I would like, and sometimes when I'm doing really complicated animations, it's just like, you know what, I just need to focus. This is too much stuff going on. I think Godzilla is a really good example, at least with my characters in particular, because with all the plasticine bits along the back, it's a lot of work. Watermelon! Thanks for sticking around, bud. Couple loyal fans, I appreciate that. Oops. I think I was supposed to move the smoke there. But the head still needs to move a little bit more if we want that last good, fast motion. So we're trying to shake the rest of that smoke away. Oof, that was a lot of motion, actually. We'll see. Mitz, what's your major malfunction? No. No. Nope. Snow actually just slowly falling down. That's very hard to see, though. Mitz, come on, buddy, enough. I might have to go put him in the room there, guys. He does not like taking no for an answer, can you tell? Okay. I think this is our second last motion. We'll try and squeeze one more out of this head shake. And then we'll move on. And 10. No, and 10. Lots of and. Probably another 25 frames after we center it back out. It'll be probably close to 100 frames once we're done this one. Not the biggest scene, it'll be about 4 seconds. Dog hair there. That's another thing that kind of sucks about claymation and having a lot of pets. Usually, there's going to be an unwanted dog hair in your frame once or twice. Alright, this last one, just a very, again, kind of more or less, kind of giving it that weight aspect that I mentioned earlier. So we're just going to toss the head, not so much the neck. At this point, we kind of want to represent things stopping. Yeah, I have to change Shimo's eyes a couple times. Oops, yeah, that's what I'm doing next. Thinking aloud to myself. Ooh, I took the smoke away way too much on that one. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Shameless plug here. I did a setup on one of my earlier streams for stop motion. I just bumped the tripod and that made me worried that I was going to get unwanted camera shake, but luckily I've secured things well enough. So it's not going to do that, so... Probably one of the earlier streams for this animation. You'll have to check that out if you haven't. Where I basically kind of get everything set up for stop motion to prevent small mistakes like that from ruining everything. 'Cause that's literally all it takes sometimes. Then we're back to the reset button. Quick stretch break. Oh. Ooh, okay. Getting old. So these next, I think, 4 frames, I'm going to keep the head virtually still and mostly get rid of the smoke. Maybe I have her head move just ever so slightly, but not a lot. Oh, that's too janky. There we go. Perfect. Basically, I had that smoke piece jet from the bottom half all the way to the top, and it looked really bad. So I just had to readjust it lower down to where that stream initially was. It's just a small little bit, but a little detail made it look way better. Okay. Small amount of head movement. Make sure I didn't move my smoke stream already. Kind of did. Just the back stuff. Smack, smack, smack. It can come down just a bit more. There we go. Uh-oh. Now we gotta delete those two because I don't like the way that smoke moved back. I'm gonna have to push it inward just a little bit because now it looks like it's jutting out. Oh, hear my puck in the background. Little Miss Foo-Foo. There we go, that was better. Now we are on the tilting head back. I know there's a few people watching, but the chat's not too active, so I guess they're just kind of amused by me moving my toy little by little, or they're just taking notes on what it is I'm doing. Might not be a bad thing to do if you're an inspiring stop motion person. Been doing this stuff a while. Unfortunately, I'm by no means a professional animator yet, but been doing this for about 25 years almost at this point. Quite a long time. At least sculpting. Not necessarily stop motion that long, but off and on, obviously, throughout that time period, so still a lot. Awesome. This is probably where the animation is going to start getting really easy for the most part, because the smoke is now pretty much all trickled down off Shimo, so don't necessarily have to really worry about that nearly as much. Just slowly press that down at this point. Maybe fluff this backside up because I'm not getting a lot of motion out of it. I've squished it down too many times. Now fluffed it up too much. Push it back down. And back to the head. I'm just going to remove the rest of the smoke out of the mouth that was not visible by anyone during that time period, so take advantage of that while I can. A little bit of movie magic. Let's see if that's too fast. Might not be. We want it to be moderately paced, like kind of in the middle now. That was probably too much right there. Yeah. I would like to demonstrate the shadow effect, because this would be a good opportunity for that, but I'm pretty sure you're just going to get me janking the camera around a whole bunch and not actually a good visual. Unfortunately. I'll try better next time. So yeah, the nice part about this portion of the scene is we don't really have as much smoke to tend about. We're now just kind of focusing on putting our head back up to center. Oh nice, you're working on a stop motion video too, cool. That's kind of entertaining. People across the world just all kind of hanging out together in a live stream doing stop motion together. That's kind of interesting. I'll have to see, maybe at some point I'll have to invite a couple of you guys. We'll have to maybe do a collab together. I think that might be kind of fun, so that way we can all kind of stream together with doing our stop motion projects at the same time and share ideas. I think that actually isn't a bad idea. I'll figure out what I can do for the next stop motion project there. Maybe I'll reach out to a few lucky viewers there. We can stream together doing our animations. Or sculpting, I suppose. Whatever kind of tickles your fancy. Because I do stream that stuff. It's just been a lot of stop motion lately, obviously. So, main reason I want to put the head back into center is more or less get her face into a good angle so I can start a bunch of series of blinks. So her eyes basically are shifting back to what they normally would be, not necessarily the glowing blue or white that they normally would be. Which concludes, I guess, part 3 of this scene almost. There's like 3 separate parts. First, you have the initial motion from the other scene to kind of tie things together, where there's just a bunch of steam coming off her face, shaking it off, centering, and then eyeballs, and then we're going to do one more. That one will be really quick. Probably won't get to that on stream, unfortunately, but pretty close. I don't have a whole lot left on this part. Pretty much ready to start the blinking, I think, at this point, too, as a matter of fact. Which is really simple. That I could actually probably show on camera fairly easily. All you basically need is some clay plasticine that's the same color as your character, or roughly the same color. Sometimes it's not always a perfect match, but as long as it's close proximity, it's not going to matter. Just pinch off a little bit, and basically you're just using that tiny little, whatchamacallit, tiny little flap or chunk, whatever you want to refer to it, probably more of a flap. Flap as basically your eyelid. So it's just a tiny little slit that basically covers everything over, and then when you want it to open, you obviously just remove it in between the frames. So pretty easy. I believe Aardman Animation does something similar with a lot of their claymation characters. Wallace and Gromit is generally the one I'm referring to when I talk about them. I'm back! Thanks for tuning back in, Kingzilla. Good, I didn't say the wrong name this time, not Claymationzilla. Although I'm sure he's still around anyway. Little more, there we go. I have to adjust my fuzz. And fun fact, all this smoke just comes from old, no longer existent fluffy toys that are no longer with us. You live on an animation, fluffy toys. Oh God, I shouldn't talk about those too much. Might get the dog excited. What's the dog doing? Okay, might take 4 single frames just to kind of build suspense slightly here. It always looks a little choppy when I play it that way. It usually looks better when I go back and do it this. Shake, shake, shake. One more to the center. Just one more. It's always important to review your footage too, I might add. I've probably watched this animation close to 1,000 times at this point. I know a lot of you are excited to see it, but I've seen it enough times at this point. Although I'm pretty sure a lot of film editors kind of feel like that after, you know, doing things. It's like, okay, oof. I've seen this a lot now. Okay, now we're going to do those 4 frames. These will be easy. Just go back in the background. Make sure our foreground still kind of got a little bit of motion in it to make it look like it's cool. Nose. Try not to get too aggressive. Tres and cuatro. Uh-oh. Small piece of fluff I forgot at the back of the neck there, but that's okay. Yeah, I figured you would beat claymation. Thanks for sticking around to, yeah, pretty much the entire stream here. We're going to do probably a few series of blinks at this point, I think. And then I will finish this animation. Apparently my cats are having a party upstairs and I'm not invited. Gotta make that smoke move a little bit in the background. Probably go 4 frames for this part just so it's a little easier. If you do 2 frames, it's significant. It gives you that blink look, but we're kind of almost going a slightly slower blink just so it's a little easier to kind of recognize the eye change that's going on here. Normally I would recommend, if you're just doing a normal blink, 2 frames. That's all you want. If maybe even 1. Okay, we had it open for 4. Now we're going to close it back up. Got that eyelid a little dirty. I'm going to just flip it to the other side. Now, the one thing that I'll admit, the angle that I chose to do here is probably not the best, because now I do have to add this eyelid on the other side every time. I could probably get away with not doing it, but it was visible at the beginning and it's going to look a little strange if I don't add that part now. Reach. Gonna send to your channel. Oh yes, I definitely recommend you sub to Claymation there. If you enjoy what I do, you'll probably get a kick out of what he does as well. Very, very similar style. I think arguably his Lego sets are more impressive than mine. I'm jealous of some of the buildings he's got. Those are really cool. Although I have some plans in the future here, but I currently need to destroy everything that's standing. At least that's how I feel about it personally. It's like, well, if I have to get rid of it, may as well have fun with that with the Godzilla takeover. So shameless plug once again. Okay, we are now 90 frames in, so that's almost, I think, 4 seconds. Almost. How many seconds do we got? I'm curious. It's probably 3.8. Yeah. Yeah, we're almost at 4. By the time I'm done the blinking stuff, I'll probably be at 4. And then it's maybe another 10 after that. Cool. So, I think that's pretty much going to do it for this evening. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Kind of not exactly the most thrilling animation that I would be doing for this animation, or for this cartoon. It's probably a better way to put it. But I just kind of figured it would be fun to do one last stream before this animation's all done, because, well, tomorrow I'm basically got that one last part to kind of finish off, and then a bunch of editing to basically kind of go through. So hopefully I have it out by tomorrow. If not, that means the editing kind of overdid me, but I'll keep you guys posted with these shorts more or less when things should be done. So it should be Wednesday, which seems to be my kind of normal post time. Maybe Wednesday at the latest. So have your post notifications turned on so you don't miss the upcoming movie monster fight. So if you enjoyed this video today, be sure to smash that like button as hard as a kaiju, as I like to say. And well, thanks for tuning in. For everyone that was here during the live chat, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. So hopefully you have a good evening, and yeah. I wish you all well. That's enough from me. Till next time, take it easy.